Right, thanks to everybody for coming tonight. We're going to go over the spring and summer schedule for 2023. Joey's got a slide going, so I'm going to start off. We've got most of the team here tonight, so it's myself, Richie, Mike, and Joey, the team ecologists. Sarah's the community and education officer, and those not here is Katie with Coy Clail, Christian with NRW, Caris is also work placement. So yeah, that's everyone in the team. But we'll be going through various things tonight. Can you bump on the slides, Joe? So yeah, as I said earlier, it's a lot of familiar faces tonight. So again, thanks for coming along. I'm not going to go into a massive introduction to the project. We all know the sort of outline of the Lost Peatlands, but yeah, we're going till February 2025 as things stand. And yeah, these summer events are heavily based around sort of community outreach and working in the habitats around the communities within the project area. So opportunities to learn about our work at these events, the peatland work, the habitat work, and also the heritage and community type events that we do. So yeah, that's very brief. Again, we've got a website, so if you want to know more information, you can jump over to the Lost Peatlands website. And yeah, the summer schedule. So it's a bit different. Last year, we've had a sort of Gantt chart to work off at the start of the project, and last year we were holding various events at various places. This year we've sort of simplified it and made it a bit more regular. So the summer schedule, if you could bump onto that slide, please, Joe. I don't think I can control. Can I control this on my own? No. Right, okay, so you can pass this slide, please. Just a minute. Right, okay. Just to look at this now, looking at the project area, as I said, last year we were holding events at different sites. We're going to be doing that. So we're covering both Neath Talbot and Rhondda and Taff. We've got 6 community wild spaces, 3 habitat restoration areas. They're the peatland sites up on the top of the mountains. And we've also got work going on in Pennicum Wind Farm. So Mike and Joe are going to be covering that later, all those sites in more detail later, what we're going to be doing. And yeah, from myself, like I say, the spring and summer schedule is now out. I think most people here tonight would have seen that. And if you haven't yet signed up for the schedule this summer, I can tell you how to do that later. But once you do sign up, you'll receive an email with the schedule itself. We've got some slides on here. I think maybe one across, Joe, to show sort of some of the events, but it's quite a lot of detail in these PDFs. So another place to sort of look at what's going on is the website itself. So go on there, there's a calendar, and yeah, they're all laid out quite nicely. But yeah, can you go to the next slide, please, Joe? So yeah, what we're doing is 100 events or so starting in April, so just around the corner. Various things going on. So there's guided walks and talks. There's practical volunteering opportunities. So that is surveys of our sites. It's also habitat management, so hands-on practical work, managing various things at our sites, and that's the volunteering side of it. We've got quite a delivering health and wellbeing workshops. There's also skills training, so a bit of outdoor carpentry, some stone walling. And then also sort of all the sort of ecological skills that we can offer, really. And that is, it's going to sort of take part through each event. There's an opportunity to learn at every event, I would say. So there's quite a lot of sort of opportunity for people to get started, or if you're experienced in surveying or any other sort of skills that we're hoping to sort of teach, it's an opportunity to hone those skills, come along, contribute as well. We're going to be sort of recording species where we can. Mike and Jerry have got data to collect and sort of put together for project outputs for the monitoring side of things. So yeah, there's a really good opportunity to get involved. For the weekend stuff, we've got bog days, so they are introductions and guided walks around our peatland sites, really. So if you've not been up to all sites, it is good to go to each. They all differ. Yeah, they all differ, different sizes, but also different sort of methods of restoration, especially between Castell North and Cregan. So good to get around all the sites, and yeah, good to get the people and knowledge and sort of transferred. We've also got family fun days and wild blitzes, so they're in summer holidays, July, August sort of time. That is definitely a good one for the family to come along. Lots of arts and crafts, lots of little events on from different, not only the Lost Peter's team, but our stakeholders and partners. And so quite clear we're there for the health and wellbeing. I know Subrek, the biodiversity recorders, will be there as well. We've also, yeah, there's others to talk of, but they're quite big events and really good for the family. And then also access is a big part of the project. So we're holding a walking week. That is at the end of June. And that's an opportunity to get on our newly promoted walks. And so, yeah, we've got several circular walks, or 7 circular walks, and a long distance route, Peatland Way. So that week will be, yeah, walk at each, really. We'll have a mobile app as well, which is a guided walk type app, ready at that stage. So yeah, quite a big sort of event during that week. The difference to last year, we're keeping things regular as possible. So it's Mondays, Tuesdays, and weekends. So Monday evenings, typically starting at 6, unless it's a themed event around an animal that's crepuscular, like bats. So they'll start later. Nightjar is another example. They'll start later, but typically it's 6 o'clock until dark. 9 o'clock we've got, but yeah, till dark really. Tuesday days is 10 o'clock till 3 o'clock, and weekends is 1 per month, and they're mostly on Saturdays. There's a couple on Sundays, I believe. So as I said, most people here would have booked on, but for those not here listening to the recording, so there's an Eventbrite link that you can follow and get 1 ticket for all of the events. So you only have to sign up once. Once signed up, you'll receive an information pack that will give you the locations of all the events, the timings of them, full schedule of what's on where, and also any other detail that you need to know, such as what you need and whatnot. So that's the process for signing up. It's pretty easy. It's all free of charge. And yeah, if it's not the Eventbrite link that you've had or can find, it's the website. Again, just go to the website. On the calendar, you'll see the events, and you just click through that, and it'll take you through. What's needed for the events? Not a lot really. So just outdoor sort of clothing. So yeah, solid footwear and waterproof clothing if it's wet. You know, if it's this is spring and summer, so hopefully it would be fair weather, and yeah, shorts and just dress sensibly really. We can offer PPE if needs to be. So if anybody would like any sort of help with that, just let us know. There's no problem. And then yeah, just we've got welfare on site, so so we're trying to get a toilet at every single event, and that is highly likely. We've got a welfare unit, so unless otherwise stated, there's going to be sort of welfare at each event, and that will include teas and coffees. But for the longer practical days, on Tuesday days, it's worth bringing lunch and whatnot. But all other equipment needed. So if we're carrying out sort of volunteering tasks, we can provide that, all the necessary PPE, that will all be provided. And then yeah, first aid, health and safety wise, we're all all trained first aid wise. We'll have sort of kit on site. So yeah, it's pretty much simple as that. So there's lots going on, as I say. It is sort of hard to go through it all now. One way that we could do that is by looking at the various sites that we're going to be doing at. So what I'm going to do now is hand you over to Mike and Joey, who are going to go through the sites, what habitats they are, etc. So yeah, guys, over to you.
Thanks, Rich. I'll take people through the HRAs and then hand over to Mike for CWSs, I guess. We do have just a couple of slides on booking on. If anyone hasn't done it previously, if you don't by email, you find it on the website. If you go to the latest tab, there's a drop down and it takes you to the events section. You can get everything through there. I think you said, Richie, already that everything's handled via Eventbrite, but you can always just email us and we can book you on if you're having any problems with it. I think most people who have been here, who are here tonight, have probably been to an event before, but just for anyone who hasn't, the habitat restoration areas are kind of larger upland peatland restoration sites. They're split over the 2 counties, so we've got 2 in RCT and 1 in NPT. And even though they're kind of majority peatland habitat, there are some other associated habitats that are interesting as well. So some have coal spoil, some have kind of Molinia dominated marshy grassland and sort of dry heath, acid grassland mosaic. We do have standard monitoring across all of the 3 HRAs. That differs slightly for CWSs, with some site-specific surveys to be undertaken, and we're going to run through some of those a bit later on. Just to cover what you might see if you go up to one of the HRAs, this is an aerial video of our Cybran HRA. So you just see kind of the mix of habitats that we've got there. And then for our large upland HRA sites, kind of what we're monitoring and why. It's split between sort of hydrological monitoring and then biodiversity monitoring. And we're just looking at observing the changes in the peatland and then the surface expression of those changes in habitats and associated species over the duration of the project. So this is kind of what it would look like before works if you went and had a look there. And then this is one of our sites after works. You can see kind of a lot more open water, and we would just be monitoring the changes that you would see in habitat structure and species presence across the whole of this site. So this site is Castellnos, which is near Mardy in Rhondda and Taff. All of the events that are running over the summer are split by site. So we have a block of dates at one particular site where we run everything. So these ones are the end of April through the beginning of May. But then there are a couple later on in the year for nightjar walks and a bog day. For each of the sites, we've kind of split it down into what is happening and then what the specific interest might be at that site. If you wanted to just go up there on your own and have a look around, or if you're looking for kind of more guidance on what site would be suitable for your interests. So we've got sphagnum planting and then kind of protected species surveying is one of the special interests for this site for water vole. So we'll have water vole guided walks and surveys, as well as amphibians and bat surveys as well. And then through the summer, some nightjar walks. All of the upland HRAs, the specific interests are kind of focused around peatland habitat management, but the specific sites will have different things that are interesting about them. So for Castellnos, it's the only one of our upland sites at the moment that has water vole on them, and it always has a good population of nightjar as well. Cybran HRA is the closest to Treherbert, but you access off the block road. This will be on the Eventbrite when you book on. We'll be there through the end of May through June with a bog day to kick it all off on the 25th of May. We'll have bats and birds, which is kind of standard across all of the HRAs as our peatland plants. But then specific practical management events, there's some path maintenance that we'll need to be doing over the summer as well. This site is a good one if you're interested in coal spoil habitats, because there's a kind of large deposit of coal spoil on the northern end of the site, so you get a lot of interesting species assemblages and fungi coming up throughout the year. The last HRA is Cregan HRA, so it's in the Avon Forest block in Neath Talbot. This is our Neath Talbot site. You can access via Abercregan or Glencorrig. We will take people in through Glencorrig for all of our surveys and events, and this is right at the end of the summer period, so we've got kind of events happening there from the 11th right through to the end of September. And this is mainly focused around peatland restoration and habitat management, but because it's such a good access point into the wider Welsh Government woodland estate, it's also a good one for biodiversity in the woodland estate, which we've had a few lectures and training sessions on now as well from Charles Hipkin. So I'll hand over to Mike now for the CWSs.
All right, cheers, Joey. So yeah, the CWSs or community wild spaces are slightly different from our habitat restoration areas, and they've got a different kind of aim. So the aim really around the community wild spaces is to get people engaged in open spaces and habitats near their communities, so that the actions we're undertaking at these sites are really specific to the site itself, so specific to the habitats present and any kind of issues associated with those habitats. And then that cascades on to how we might monitor what we undertake at those sites and how the effect that has on the habitat condition or whatever we're interested in improving at that site. So that they're really a mix of habitats, and they spread across the project area. So we've got 6 sites, 3 in RCT and 3 in Neath Talbot, and they've been picked based on various different things, or things that we might want to do there to improve them, but also because it quite close to where people live, and hopefully slightly easier for people to access. Can we go to the next slide, shall we? Oh, I can't see anything. Ah, there we are, the map. Yeah, so this is a map just showing where the sites are spread across the project area. So the blue dashed line, or looks blue to me anyway, that's the big project extent boundary. You can see the HRAs kind of evenly spread across the site, and then the big kind of pointy down yellow thing is Pennacumoys, which is the wind farm, and then our CWS is spread across the site from. So if you go from the left to right, you've got Cummer, Glencorrwg, Gwynfi, Hendrymynydd, Blaen Rhondda, Cwmpark. Have I missed one? No, I haven't. Sites spread across the project area. And you can see just associated with each of those sites, the bullet points laying out what we're going to be doing at each of these sites. And that's really designed around what we want to improve at the site. So Glencorrwg is a site that is dominated by kind of Molinia grassland, and it's quite rank, and really would be benefit from some opening up this grassland and reducing the Molinia dominance. And we're trying to achieve that through a mixture of grazing and some other aspects. And also it has a problem with invasive plant species, Himalayan balsam. So there's a lot of Himalayan balsam on site. So we're really looking at introducing some grazing management and some invasive control to try and improve the habitat condition at that site. Conversely, Cummertip is a coal spoil habitat, and we got a different problem there with invasive control, but also scrub encroachment into some of the open habitats and the things that make coal spoil kind of interesting for various different things. So like for invertebrates, it's quite interesting in the open spaces within there. You've got a loose substrate and it gets quite warm. So it can be really good for invertebrates. So we want to open up some of the areas on Cummertip. So there's a whole range of different things going on at these sites. And then this feeds through to monitoring, as I said, and we want to monitor how our actions on these sites are having an effect. Can we go to the next slide, Joey? So yeah, the opportunities then for people to get involved at these CWSs are really revolve around how this monitoring is going to go on and the things we're aiming to monitor. But it's not the only things we're going to do in the CWSs, because obviously we want to monitor them, but they've kind of main aim is engaging people in the local community. So we're not only doing our monitoring surveys, we're also doing guided walks, and various other different things at each site throughout the summer season. So you can see the Neath Port Talbot CWSs, so Glencorrwg, Cummer and Blaen Gwynfi. We got events throughout the summer, so May, July to August, September there at the different sites, and a variety of different events, so guided walks, so looking at biodiversity and forestry, so talking about geology at some of the sites, talking about coal spoil at Cummer, some of the interesting things specific to Cummer. And also talking about grazing and invertebrates. So grazing, again, we'll be bringing that back to Glencorrwg, and hopefully we might have some cows on site at some point soon. So yeah, and again, in terms of specific interests, just the things set out there with grazing and coal spoil habitats we already talked about. If we go on to the RCT ones now, we can talk about what might be interesting. Oh no, this is the actual habitats on site. I forgot about these sites. Sorry about that. So yeah, this is just a kind of an image to give you a picture of what some of these sites look like. So this is Glencorrwg, I think. Yeah, this is an overview of the Glencorrwg CWS looking down into the village, and that's the Pennacumoys wind farm on the hillside you can see opposite there. And yeah, the foreground's obviously dominated by bracken, but that large area of Molinia in the background is the area of rank Molinia grassland that we're trying to manage a bit more intensely to open it up a bit. Hope we go on to the next one now. So this is the Gwynfi CWS, which is basically right next to a row of terraced houses in Gwynfi. And this is a really rank kind of semi-improved grassland. There abuts an area of heathland. So I just have the shot on the right there. It's starting to move into an acid grassland, kind of heathland mosaic. And we really want to reduce the kind of vigor of the grassland on this site to try and get it a bit more species rich. It's a kind of grassland that can't be managed in any other way other than cutting. We can't get cows on this site; it just wouldn't be practical. So we need to cut the grass and remove that grass. And on this site, we really lends itself to some really nice plant surveys. So getting people involved with doing some quadrat surveys, getting some quadrats down, and seeing how the number of species changes through time as we cut the grass and take the cuttings away to kind of reduce the amount of fertilizer input into the system and reduce the vigor of the plants growing there. We go on to the next one, shall we? And this is just our Cummer tip site, which is a coal spoil site, and you can see some scrub in the background there. And yeah, that's part of the issue. This willow scrub and some other thorny scrub on site, encroaching on some of the open habitats. And so some of that would be scrub clearance on this site, but again, some will also be Himalayan balsam. There's a big problem with Himalayan balsam, especially along the side of the cycle track. And yeah, we'll be trying to reduce the cover of that at this site. Can we go on to the RCT ones now? Yeah, so the RCT community wild spaces, so they, as I said earlier on, they're based near Park, Blencombe and Hendra Mynydd, so quite a spread across the Rhondda. Park, again, it has real heavy dominance of bracken cover, so we're looking to try and reduce some of the bracken cover on that site, whereas Blind Rhondda has slightly different issues, so more invasive species again, and Hendra Mynydd, well, Hendra Mynydd is just in there because it's a really lovely site, and we're not really going to be doing much management works there, but it lends itself more to community kind of engagement activities. It's slightly further away from communities, but it's a really nice heathland habitat site with some really nice, interesting reptiles and invertebrate species there. So again, we're running a series of events across the spring and summer. So April at Park, and June at Blencombe, and July at Hendra Mynydd. So it'll be a nice time to get up in the heathland there in the summer. And again, variety of different things, looking at wildflowers, geology, heathlands, guided walks type stuff. But also doing the vegetation type surveys focused on our monitoring kind of objectives. We'll be reducing INS cover, but also the practical activities. So pulling out Himalayan balsam, maybe doing some path maintenance, and also just doing some fun stuff like going to Hendra Mynydd and see if we can find any reptiles. I think we got some photos again of some of the sites here. You can see what some of these sites look like. So this is a photo of the top of Blind Rhondda, I think, from our HRA site from Cybron. So you can just about see the top of Blind Rhondda. So the tabletop mountain there is Pen Peak, and our Blind Rhondda site covers that and goes down the slope below that, where the head is kind of dominant, and captures the forestry underneath that. And it's a lovely site for kind of humid woodland and heathland kind of mosaic. But again, that's one of the sites we'll be looking at reducing INS cover at. We go to the next one, Joe. So this is our Park CWS, and this is a plantation ancient woodland site actually, as well as being one of our CWSs. So it was plantation that was planted over a site that would historically have had really rich Atlantic oak woodland, so kind of Atlantic rainforest on it. But now it's been cleared, and there are patches of regenerating woodland, but it's really heavily bracken dominated at the minute, which is really stopping recolonization by woodland on this site. So this is a site we're looking to manage by reducing the bracken cover, and hopefully in the long term we'll get more of a kind of Atlantic oak woodland habitat developing. Can we go on to the next one, Joe? And this is Hendra Mynydd. So this is just the heathland site at the top of the Rhondda Valley. It's a fantastic site. It's great. Acid grassland heathland mosaic. It's a lovely place to be basically in the summer. And I think that's it, is it? We go on to the next slide, shall we? Yeah, so this is just an overview of what we're doing where and when at each of the CWS sites. And admittedly, that's a lot of information on one slide to take in now, but I imagine this will be made available later on the YouTube, and we can also make the presentation available. So if anyone wants this, so they can see where we are when by time, we can make that available so you can see it. Can we move on again, Joe? Right, yeah, so survey training. So as we were talking about, so the specific aspects of surveying we're taking on for the HRAs and CWSs, and the aims of these surveys are to feed into our monitoring of how our actions we're undertaking, so our interventions on the peatland sites to raise water tables, improve peatland condition, but also the interventions we're taking on our CWSs to improve habitat condition. So it's a survey we need to complete to see if those things are working. We'll be providing some training in how to undertake that. And they follow various kind of standardized survey protocols, or things like bat surveys follow kind of standard guidance. Some things like bird surveys utilize some kind of BTO standard guidance on survey types, when vegetation follows some other kind of standard vegetation survey approaches. So things like quadrats, point counts for bats, and walk transect kind of surveys. I think we're going to talk a little bit about those now, but I think I'll hand over to Joey to start off, because I'm not sure what we're starting with.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So we're just going to start with some of the CWS vegetation monitoring. We're focused on the CWS sites for this presentation, because these are more kind of volunteer friendly than the upland HRA sites. So for each of them, we've got a data collection protocol, and that'll be provided to you if you come along for these events, or if you wanted to take on some monitoring of these. They're a set of randomly generated quadrats with a set number per site. And then our aim is to measure the change in the relative percentage cover of species and map the different vegetation community assemblages as a result of our management. So I've got the Gwynby site as an example map here. This is our baseline phase 1 survey that we had, and you kind of see the distribution of dry heath and scrub and the different types of grasslands across the site. So we have quadrats spread out fairly evenly between these habitats, and then it's I think once a year going and recording all of the species present, and having a relative percentage cover for each of them recorded as well, so that we can track changes through time.
Yeah, it's worth saying for Gwynby as well that the although we'd like to record every species, it's designed more around having indicator type species of change we want to see or changes we don't want to see. So to make it a bit more accessible, so you don't need to be able to identify every plant species that might occur there. There'll be some key species we're on the lookout for, and we can give you some crib sheets about how you might want to identify those. So maybe 10 or 15 different species that we're really keen on seeing or not seeing. And then that'll provide us the kind of information that we want around how the sites are developing, and make it slightly easier to do the surveys. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mike. Yeah, we should say as well, actually, that we're not just going to dump you in this if you do want to come and do it with us. We're happy to take you around the site and kind of point out the species that we would be looking at as positive and negative indicators for the site. For the bat surveys, this is mainly a feature of the upland HRA sites. So we have a walk transect for each site that we do fairly regularly, with a number of stops along that path. And then at each of the points along that transect where we stop at, you do a count of the number of passes, individual passes by bats, and then that all gets fed into our data set for the duration of the project. We do also have static detectors and acoustic analysis that we're undertaking as well. So you're welcome to get involved in those if you want to, but that's not part of the regular survey program. Breeding birds, there's a circular transect around or through, in the case of Crimsibron, all of the sites, upland HRAs that we have. These are also being undertaken on fairly regular schedules. This is the results from Cregan for last year. This, I think, is the sum total of all 3 breeding bird surveys that we did at that time, and they'll be ramping up fairly soon, those repeat surveys. Last one, which is a lot more site specific, is watervole. If anyone wants to get involved in any watervole surveys, which is a survey of linear features and kind of open water features at Castellnos HRA, because that's the only one with watervole presence on the site at the moment. Keep your fingers crossed. But for that, we're surveying for field signs, and if you chose to come on that, we would train you up in the field signs that we would be looking at, and then we can also look at using camera traps or feeding tunnels, which we have deployed on site at the moment, as well as some floating footprint rafts as well. Those are all the specific examples of surveys that we're going to go through at the minute. So I'm going to hand over to Sarah, who's going to talk a bit about the peatland hotspot.
Thank you, Joey. Yes, excellent. So plenty for people to get involved in, and it's probably worth stressing that it is suitable for all levels. So, for example, youngsters, I know my daughter came out last year and had a go at the bat surveys. So it's suitable for everybody who's just starting their journey on wanting to learn about nature, to those who also want something a bit more specific and are a long way along the journey and want sort of more detailed and survey kind of based training. So we've designed the Peatland Passport really as a means to record people's journeys with us throughout the spring, summer, as hopefully we encourage you to attend not just so many, not more events as such, but a variety of different kind of events that we have on offer. So the Peatland Passport really is just a tool to make your own personal record of things that you've learnt along the way. So as you can see here on the screen, for example, there's an opportunity to record how many different sites you've actually visited. There's also a section in the passport to record specific species. So if you learn, 5 different species throughout the summer, then there's a way that you can actually record those within the passport. Similarly, if you're able to come along and practice your survey skills and have a go at carpentry or woodwork, green wood skills, then again, opportunity to kind of record that. And similarly, if you're wanting certificates or wanting us to sort of sign that off, whether it's for your own kind of record or whether you're participating in an award or whether you need it for college applications or university courses, then we're quite happy to do that and supply additional certificates, as a way of sort of recognising your involvement with us. And similarly, there's also somewhere there for personal goals. So whether you've got any health and wellbeing goals that you want to try to achieve, or you're hoping to increase your species knowledge, again, opportunity to kind of record that. So merely just a tool for people to record that in their own way, and we've left it quite open rather than too prescriptive. So you've got actually a summary of what you've actually done and learned with us throughout summer.
Sweet. All right, thanks for that, Sarah, and thanks, Mike and Joey. It's good overview of what sort of the project area is all about and what we're doing. It is a vast project area. There's loads sort of going on there, and that is the strength really of the sort of project. This opportunity to sort of delve into lots of different interesting things. But yeah, just to sort of echo what Sarah was saying, it is something that we're sort of able to be as flexible really. So there's opportunities for a lot of things in these events. So ecology training is something that we've covered tonight with the sort of surveying side of it, but there's a lot of practical hands-on tasks, as I said earlier, so you can get stuck into these events. We've got pathways as well that need maintenance. Don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but yeah, we've the pathways that sort of we're opening. We're looking to sort of look after those and maintain them. So it could just be scrub clearance around the paths, but it could actually sort of entail some more sort of foundational works, like if needed. I know especially Green Corrig needs a bit of work, so putting steps in and other sort of furniture should be able to get sort of the funding in place to do that. So yeah, you've got that opportunity to get stuck in and skills training elsewhere. So as I mentioned earlier, there's carpentry, stonewalling, and sort of other events. We run professional training courses, and for our volunteers, they're free to access. So they're the sort of the side of the project where we typically charge, bring in trainers or deliver it ourselves at a higher level. But yeah, all volunteers of the project are welcome to come to those. So there's just lots of different opportunities to sort of improve your own skills. But if not improving skills, it's a case to come out and join us in nature really, and just look at these sites, just get out in wildlife and appreciate what is there, because like I said, there's a lot of different sites, different habitats, and hence different wildlife in the area. So it is it's sort of pretty open. All right, Mike.
Yeah, I was just saying one thing we didn't cover really, and one of the large habitat management things we're doing is some of the forestry regen clearance on the Pen y Cymoedd wind farm site, which we didn't talk about. We've run quite a lot of activities over the winter, taking tree regen off restored bog areas, and we don't want the trees coming back in. It compromises some of the things we're aiming for, so we take them out, and that's been a really popular thing with groups of people over the winter. Really fun thing to do.
Yeah, there's no reason why we can't do more of that in the summer as well. So yeah, we've got this sort of webinars sort of covering the spring and summer schedule. The one that you've received, so that is Monday evenings, Tuesday days, and some weekends. But we've also got more capacity to sort of take on extra days. So if you were a part of a volunteer group and you want to bring your group to the peatlands, we can arrange that. We can put on days to cater for sort of all sorts of conservation groups and other, really. We've got various sort of visits lined up as an example. So there's a couple of universities coming up for introduction to peatland sites. And then we've also got sort of women's groups coming up. And I think Duke of Edinburgh are going to be getting involved at some stage as well. So yeah, we are open to suggestions. You know, we've got this base schedule onto the summer, but yeah, we can put on more stuff. As Mike said, the tree clearance, removal of conifer is quite an enjoyable day, as is sphagnum planting as well. So we've got that coming up. But yeah, I just invite you to sort of come along and have a look at the schedule in detail. Take a look at our calendar, and yeah, you can see there's quite a range of different stuff going on. So yeah, it should hopefully suit everybody and yeah, attract some like-minded folk. So I don't think we've had any questions in the chat, or have we?
No, I can't see anything in the chat at the minute, but I mean, obviously, if you want to ask a question, please, feel free to unmute and ask it. Or if you don't want to do that, you can pop it in the chat, and I'm quite happy to ask the questions or answer the questions that appear in the chat. If you've got a specific question for anyone in particular, where Joey buys his books or his hats, feel free.
No. There we are. It's yeah, we'll take that as a definite positive then, and hopefully this has been as clear as we can possibly be. As I said, there's a lot of information to sort of communicate here, but hopefully with the process of signing up is easy. Once you get that information back, it's it's all within there. Pick and choose, come along. You sign up once, you can turn up on the day then. So
there's always free tea, coffee, and biscuits. So
yeah,
should that sway you?
Sway most, wouldn't it? It's definitely a selling point.
It's the only reason I took the job. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be there Monday nights, Tuesday days, and then weekend events. And so yeah, please do spread the word. If you haven't signed up, please do so. I did put some links in the chat earlier, so there's links for the sort of online ordering. There's our map on the website and also the events calendar. So have a schmoozy at that, and then otherwise we'll be seeing everybody out and about. So Sarah, you'd like to say something?
Yeah, it's just to remind people with some of the events, there is a slightly different sign-up process. So specifically the health and wellbeing ones, there's a different registration form to go through. So if you go to the website, it's on the link on that. A few people have asked me about that one, so just to raise that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks for bringing that in. It's quite important. There are certain events that are number limited. So the health and wellbeing one's been some of them. So that is a booking process with Coislail, and there's also limitations to the outdoor carpentry and stonewalling. So yeah, there's trainers coming in to do that. None of us are sort of dab hands at any of those skills. So yeah, we're bringing in professional trainers to run those. So yeah, we're limited by numbers on those. But
should say the same goes for the bat and bird survey work as well. That we're not running some of those as events, but if you get in touch or express an interest to join us in those, then we can hook you up with when we're going out.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, again, we're here. Contact us either sort of email, phone, or just catch us on social media. But we can sort of we can be as flexible as we can, and hopefully sort of reach out to as many people as we can. So yeah, without any more sort of questions, I don't suppose last sort of opportunity for anybody to ask a question. Nope. Right. Okay. Well, with that then, happy equinox. Hopefully the sun will shine more than it has today. Certainly been piddling down where I am, but yeah, our events start in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, we'll hopefully see you in April at some point, and then throughout the summer. So thanks to everybody for coming along tonight. And yeah, if you need anything, just give us a shout, and we'll see you out there. Thanks all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks everyone.